I would like to hear a statement from one of the intelligence officials in the United States, obviously unclassified statement, with regards how they're going to explain today, because in theory, we're supposed to be discussing right now the initial stages of Russia's invasion. I think there is definitely a lack of accurate intelligence and analysis about Russia's intent, and the Russians are the masters of deception. I think they supersede, and they were very successful in demonstrating it. They superseded the West capability to overcome them, and they have they have presented an exceptional case back in 2014 when they annexed Crimea, under the nose of U.S. intelligence and Western intelligence services, which at that time were very much focused on the Black Sea region because of the Winter Olympics and associated terrorism risks that were sort of discussed at that time, that were linked to the game. So I think the Russians are very clever in hiding and disguising their intent. Quite often they're letting us see what they want to see rather than allowing us.
Alexey, I want to follow. I mean, just to push on that as well. I mean, where is the intelligence gathering, as you say? I mean, where is it? Because you have to take a step back and wonder. With all of the things that have happened over the last several years, a global pandemic. You had, of course, Britain leaving the European Union. There were a lot of fears at that time about what that might do to intelligence gathering, whether it be on immigration and terrorism and et cetera, et cetera. Do you think there's a major failure on the part of Western intelligence services, particularly in the United States, to have a real handle on this situation at this point? And it's surprising, though, that it would be dialed back to this extent when they knew that Russia was still a problem for the West.
Look, I think there is, because for a long time, Russia was denied the status of being a credible international player, meaning we kind of assumed that Russia is gone, Russia is diminished, Russian economy is in ruins, it would remain a gigantic country, but with the status of middle power hands. We don't need to have capability with analytical capability, Russian linguistic capability to properly analyze it, not recycle same story that pops up in one source and then kind of gets reported thousands times later on. And I think we sort of picking up bits and pieces with regards to Russia, similar the way how we have failed to identify, precursor to 9/11. We couldn't figure out that Osama bin Laden, who was interviewed by Western media back in late 1990s, would turn out to be Mr. Evil of the first decade of the 21st century. So I think we see systematic failure to recognize in a timely manner strategic threats that are affecting us. And what we're doing is, like in the worst case scenario, consequence managing.